Good evening, good Abend, bonsoir, buenas noches to investors in North and South America. Ohio各位 investor， 안녕하세요各位早晨 Good morning to investors in Asia. Buenas noches, good night to investors in Europe and Africa. I'm Danny speaking from Hong Kong. It's 17th April here and 16th April in Wall Street. This time I have 5 main points to talk about. Number 1, good news on banking industry. Number 2, top 5 NASDAQ index components. Number 3, military aid and inflation. Number 4, compensation of Russia. Number 5, Chicago target rate outlook. Subscribe, like and share. Remember to click the bell please. Watch our playlist again so as to grasp the continuous trend of the market and refresh your mind. As people are worrying about whether the banking crisis is completely over or still will have a strong aftermath effect, JP Morgan brings tidings of great joy. The saving deposit in the first quarter has grown from 2.38 trillion to 2.43 trillion. There's a growth of 400 billion. JP Morgan is the largest bank in US. Its growth denotes it is benefited by the banking crisis. For deposits in small banks are transferred to large banks, the jumping gap proves end users still have great confidence in the US banking system. They just withdraw capital from small banks and transfer to large banks. Capital is still inside the banking system. As for Citibank, the increase in revenue in the first quarter is 21.4 billion, a growth of 12%, also as a big white candlestick with a jumping gap. But they have already announced the result, so we can put an eye on Bank of America, which is going to announce this week. It has already popped up, but if investors want to buy at low, they can put an eye on WFC, even if their performance is not as nice as the previous. 4 foreign banks can observe the Barclays Bank, which also jumped up, and the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce also has a nice rising trend. As for focus of the market, which is Credit Suisse, the 4 seem to have ended and can consider buying. Anyway, even though the 3 major indices dropped on Friday, the banking sector is in good performance. Market is at a crossroad. People still worry that a recession will come in the second half of this year. But the CPI announced on Wednesday dropped from 6.0% to 5.0%, a permanent fall. However, core inflation rate rose a little from 5.5 to 5.6%, still far away from the standard inflation of 2.0%. But the PPI on Thursday greatly lowered the yearly rate from 4.9% to 2.7%, and the monthly rate even dropped from 0% to minus 0.5%. It denotes cost pull inflation, which is the major symptom of this round being under control. So the worry of recession should not be too great even when it comes. For last week, I have already pointed out unemployment now is still at the best time since the landing of the moon in July 1969, which is 3.5%. And the landing of the Mars project is still in progress now. But regretfully, March is a star of warriors, and inevitably brought about the fighting in Ukraine for over a year. So let's take a look at the 3 major indices. For S&P, already said the head and shoulders from January to March is a trap. So very simple, when it is a trap of falling means it is a genuine pattern of rising. Also said it would develop into a multi-right shoulder pattern, and this multi-right shoulder is now further developed into an inverted head and shoulders. Another evidence to prove the previous head and shoulders is a trap. The study of chart analysis is not to memorize various kinds of patterns or formation of candlesticks and technical indicators. The essence is here. How to distinguish which pattern is genuine and which is false. How to find out which is a trap and which can rely on. There's a series of 14 teaching videos with certain tests and philosophical questions to think about, and some even performed in form of historical poem. The bull market watershed of S&P is 4189 and last closing price is 4137, not so far away. As for Dow Jones, even the pattern can be classified as an inverted head and shoulders, but actually it is ranging within a rectangular platform, and focus should be in the platform and not the inverted head and shoulders, and this time not so keen to classify whether it is genuine or false, standard or deviation. The bull market watershed is at 34392 and last closing price is 33886, not so far away. But for NASDAQ Composite, the watershed is at 12105 and last closing price is 12123, still above it and waiting for confirmation of shooting up. The index is in an inverted head and shoulders and above all average lines and finished pullback. So for the future trend, we have to observe the top 5 components of NASDAQ 100 so as to understand how it changes from Ursa minor pattern to Ursa major pattern after the clear and bright festival of April the 5th, where everything is very clear and very bright now. The first one is Apple, which has a weight of 11.53% in NASDAQ from September to March. It formed a large and complex inverted head and shoulders, and in right shoulders of February to March form an ascending triangle. Now pop up, even the sales in first quarter is not so ideal, still strong enough to surpass the previous high. Microsoft comes second and the weight is of 11.36%. The rising trend has started since November, just after the meteor shower of orange and effect of the big winter triangle that brought about the trend of ChatGPT and AI intelligence. It's the advent of a new era, and that's how they can run ahead of the index. Amazon comes third and only occupies 6.47%. It may be slower than others, but still have strong potential to rise. NVDA only occupies 3.86% in the index, but comes fourth. And the trend is the best because AI depends on them. And it is the first stock that rose from the bottom of Orion in winter, the true leader of the market, which I have recommended for numerous times. Google occupies 3.76%, comes fifth, and is also having the same rise in October. Please refer to the videos in the winter where I have talked so much on winter constellations. Better have a study from the beginning to the end if you want to understand thoroughly. So for the third item, we come to military aid and inflation. Russian-Ukraine conflict started on February 24, 2022, and the US rate hike cycle started on March 16th, and now is still carrying on. The consumption of ammunition is so large that even the whole Western world is exhausted, including Five Eyes, European Union, and G7. Just for shells, Russia is shooting 20,000 to 80,000 per day, and Ukraine 6,000 to 20,000 per day. From this chart, we can see the deep blue color stands for those countries supplying heavy weapons to Ukraine. It covers all major Western world, and light blue color are those supplying light weapons. Their inventory is nearly used up, and they have to ask help or borrow from other countries to fill their stock. The second chart is the top 20 countries of suppliers. We can see that no matter in military or humanitarian aid, the US overran the total of all other countries. So some people worry under the worldwide inflation trend, will US continue to supply weapons so as to maintain their universal value? In the UK, inflation is even higher than in the US. But when we refer to the chart of the Bureau of Economic Analysis, we can see in the Korean War, the military expenditure is 2.7% of GDP. Vietnam War is 0.95%. The two Iraqi War only 0.6%. Afghanistan War for 10 years is 0.3%. And now Ukraine is just 0.2% of GDP. So it's the cheapest way to stop the military action of Russia. And if so many Western countries grouped together still thought it is a heavy burden, Russia should be in a more desperate condition. So it's a means to use the least expenditure to consume the national power of Russia, such as Ronald Reagan used the Star War to make the Soviet Union collapse. When we refer to the fourth point, the International Court in Hague just announced a verdict concerning Russia confiscating the asset of a Ukraine gas company in Crimea in 2014, known as Naftogaz, is illegal, and Russia must compensate $5 billion for it. mind that it is concerning 2014, and those cases in 2022 and other cases in 2014 can follow this verdict to claim Russia. Russia surely will not pay anything. Thus, the frozen Russian asset of over $3,000 billion will be taken for compensation, and it will hurt the Russian economy seriously. Mind that things happen in Ukraine will be a mirror to Taiwan for both sides of the strait. The Russian conscription, that's the recruitment of soldiers, is divided into several times. Each time a little is no use, only weakening the gathering power. So China announced to have conscription effective from May the 1st, 2023, aiming at college students so as to improve the quality. The US has also announced to have manufacturing of ammunition in Taiwan, so no need to transport and ask for help from others like nowadays in Ukraine. Investors better put this into consideration. So in conclusion, we have to observe the target rate outlook. The chance of raising interest rate by 25 basis points in May the 3rd FOMC meeting is 78%, and kept unchanged is just 22%. The rate in June and July meeting will be kept unchanged at 5.00 to 5.25%, and rate cut will start in September. This means the coming meeting will be the last rate hike. Please be noted that this chart is changing every day, every hour, every minute, every second, and every millisecond, even in holidays. To understand thoroughly, please refer to the last video, which is video 26 2023-0410, where I have detailed explanation of how to read the target rate outlook charts. So mind that the leakage of the confidential data of US will postpone the counter-attack of UK to after May the 6th, the start of summer. And the most bloody fighting would occur around June 21st, the Summer Solstice, which is the longest day. So again, subscribe, share and like, please. Sayonara, auf Wiedersehen, adieu, bye bye. See you next week.